Hello everyone, I'm Almir Reis, a Brazilian visual artist based in Lisbon, Portugal, and the creator and host of Reis das Artes. For more than 25 years, art has been my passion and my profession. My creative journey began with photography and gradually evolved into painting, where I developed my own contemporary visual language. Through my work, I explore color, architecture, movement, and the emotions that connect us all. On this channel, I invite you to experience something truly unique. Imagine conversations with the greatest artists in history. Together, we explore their lives, their creative processes, and the masterpieces that change the world of art forever. Today, I have the privilege of welcoming one of the most influential and revolutionary painters of the 20th century, a man whose bold vision transformed modern art and inspired generations of artists around the world. Please welcome Jackson Pollock.
Hello everyone. First, I'd like to thank Almir Reis for inviting me to be here on Reis das Artes. I don't usually talk much about myself, so it's a pleasure to have this opportunity. I'm also grateful to everyone watching. If you're here, you probably believe that art is more than something to look at. It is something to experience. That means a great deal to me. I hope that by the end of this conversation, you'll understand not only my paintings, but also the ideas, emotions, and freedom that guided my work. Thank you for welcoming me to Reis das Artes. Let's get started.
It's a real pleasure to have you here on Reis das Artes. Your work changed the history of art and continues to inspire artists all over the world. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. To begin, I'd like to go back to the very beginning. Where were you born, and what was that young boy like before he became one of the most influential artists of the 20th century?
I was born in Cody, Wyoming in 1912. But I spent my childhood moving from town to town across the American West with my family. My father worked in land surveying and farming, so we rarely stayed in one place for very long. Looking back, I think those wide open landscapes and the raw beauty of nature stayed with me. At the time, I had no idea I would become an artist, but I was already observing the world in my own way.
When did you realize that art was going to be your life? Was there a defining moment, or did it happen gradually?
It happened gradually. Almir. When I moved to Los Angeles, my older brother was already studying art, and he encouraged me to follow the same path. Later, I moved to New York and enrolled at the Art Students League. There, I studied with Thomas Hart Benton, who taught me a great deal about structure and rhythm in painting. Soon after, I discovered the Mexican muralists, especially Diego Rivera and Jose Clemente Orozco. Their work showed me that painting could be powerful, emotional, and full of energy. That's when I knew I had found my path.
I'd like to talk about someone who played a huge role in your career, Peggy Guggenheim. How important was she in your life, both as an artist and as a person?
Peggy changed my life. At a time when very few people believed in my work, she did. She didn't just buy my paintings, she gave me confidence. She commissioned Mural, introduced my work to collectors, and gave me a monthly stipend so I could focus entirely on painting. That kind of support is priceless for a young artist. Without Peggy Guggenheim, my career would almost certainly have taken a very different path. She saw something in my work before the rest of the world did, and I'll always be grateful for that.
There's always been a lot of curiosity about your relationship with Peggy Guggenheim. Let me ask you directly, was there ever anything beyond friendship and your professional partnership? Was there ever a romance between the two of you?
No, there wasn't. Peggy and I shared a deep professional relationship built on trust and mutual respect. She believed in my work when very few people did, and I admired her courage and vision as a collector. Almir. People have often speculated because she supported many artists so passionately, but our relationship was never romantic. She was my patron, an important friend, and someone who helped change the course of my career.
Jackson, one of the most fascinating stories of your career involves Mural, the monumental work Peggy Guggenheim commissioned for the entrance of her home. I've read that she originally imagined it painted directly on the wall, but later agreed that it should be done on canvas. How did that commission come about? And did you ever feel the pressure of creating such an important piece?
Absolutely. It was the biggest opportunity of my career at that point. Peggy gave me complete freedom, but with that freedom came a great deal of responsibility. I knew this painting could define my future. At first, the size of the canvas was overwhelming, and I spent days just looking at it, wondering where to begin. But once I started, everything came naturally. I wasn't thinking about pleasing anyone. I was simply trying to make the strongest painting I could. Looking back, Mural became a turning point, not only for me, but for American modern art.
Do you remember the first time you met Peggy Guggenheim? By then, she was already known as one of the greatest patrons of modern art. Pollock, did you realize you were meeting someone who would change your life, or was she simply another gallery owner to you?
Well, Almir, I remember it very well. Peggy already had an extraordinary reputation. She had an incredible eye for talent and wasn't afraid to support artists long before they became famous. To me, meeting her was intimidating, of course, but I had no idea how much she would influence my future. At first, I simply hoped she would like my work. I never imagined she would become the person who gave me my first real opportunity to devote myself entirely to painting.
I'd like to change the subject completely. When people hear your name, the first thing that comes to mind is your famous drip painting technique. But I'd like to know, how did that idea actually come about? Was it something you had planned, or was it discovered almost by accident?
It wasn't an accident, and it certainly wasn't a gimmick. I had been searching for a different way to paint for years. Using brushes on an easel began to feel too limiting. One day I placed the canvas on the floor, walked around it, and started pouring and dripping paint. Suddenly I felt completely connected to the painting. I wasn't just looking at it, I was inside it. That changed everything.
Jackson, let's talk about the movement that changed the course of modern art. People often associate abstract expressionism with your name, but you weren't alone. Who were the artists walking alongside you during that incredible period?
No, I certainly wasn't alone. New York was full of remarkable artists, all searching for a new visual language after the Second World War. Friends and colleagues like Willem de Kooning, Mark Rothko, Barnett Newman, Franz Klein, Robert Motherwell, Clifford Still, and Lee Krasner were all pushing the boundaries of painting in different ways. We didn't always agree, and we certainly weren't trying to paint alike, but we shared the belief that art could express something deeper than appearances. It was an exciting time to be an artist. Exciting time.
Throughout your career, you were influenced by many great artists. Looking back, who would you say had the greatest influence on your work? And if you had to choose just one artist as the greatest master of all time, who would it be?
Without a doubt, Pablo Picasso had an enormous influence on me. He completely changed the possibilities of painting and showed every artist that there was no single path to creativity. His courage to reinvent himself was something I deeply admired. As for the greatest master of all time, I'd probably choose Leonardo da Vinci. He wasn't just a painter, he was a visionary. His curiosity knew no limits, and that is something every artist should aspire to.
Your life was cut tragically short at just 44 years old. When people think about Jackson Pollock, they often wonder what more you could have created had you lived longer. Do you ever think about the art that never had the chance to exist?
Of course. Every artist leaves behind unfinished ideas. I was still searching, still experimenting, and I believe there were many paintings I never had the opportunity to create. But an artist can't measure life by the number of years. What matters is whether the work continues to speak to people after you're gone. If my paintings still make people feel something, ask questions, or see the world differently, then a part of me is still alive.
Looking back now, with the perspective that only time can bring, Pollock, if you could change one thing about your life, what would it be?
I don't think I'd change my artistic journey. Every success, every failure, every doubt found its way into my paintings. But Almira, if I could change one thing, it would be the way I dealt with myself. I struggled with alcohol, and there were moments when I let it take control of my life. I wish I had found more peace, not only for myself, but for the people I loved. In the end, I hope people remember me not for the way I died, but for the freedom I tried to bring to painting.
Before we finish, I'd like to share something personal with you. In 2018, I had the privilege of visiting your home and studio in Springs, East Hampton. Standing there, seeing the paint still covering the floor of your studio, I could almost feel your presence. I'd like to ask you, when you think about that house today, what memories come to your mind? What did that place mean to you?
That house was much more than a place to live. It was where I finally found silence. In New York, there was always noise, expectations, and pressure. In Springs, I found space. Space to think, to fail, to experiment, and to discover who I really was as an artist. When I think about that studio, I don't remember the paintings first. I remember the sound of the wind outside, the smell of the wood, the light coming through the windows, and the feeling of standing alone in front of a blank canvas. Almere. That's where I learned that painting wasn't about controlling the paint. It was about trusting the process. Knowing that people like you still walk through that studio all these years later is deeply moving. It means that a place filled with doubts, dreams, and hard work has become a place of inspiration. I don't think an artist can ask for anything more than that.
I have to say, I absolutely loved that answer. It was honest, emotional, and very inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing those memories with us. Before we say goodbye, I'd like to ask one final favor. What message would you like to leave for everyone watching Race des Artes?
Don't be afraid to find your own voice. Too many people spend their lives trying to paint like someone else, think like someone else, or live by someone else's expectations. Art isn't about perfection. It's about honesty. It's about having the courage to create something that has never existed before, even if not everyone understands it at first. Keep your curiosity alive, keep experimenting, and never let fear decide what you're capable of creating. Thank you for welcoming me into your homes, and thank you, Almere, for keeping these conversations alive. As long as people continue talking about art, art will never stop changing the world.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. It was truly an honor to share this conversation with one of the greatest artists in history. And to everyone watching, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share this interview with your friends. Your support helps us continue bringing these incredible conversations to life. Always remember, art never dies. It simply finds new ways to inspire the world. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next Wednesday here on Race des Artes with another extraordinary guest and another unforgettable conversation. Until then, take care and keep art alive.